think if Sheila, if you're ready, I think we can get started.
Okay.
All right, and I'll start sharing the screen.
Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining me today for this session of Coping with COVID-19. Ask me about your elementary school child. My name is Sheila Hansen, and I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist and a registered play therapist here in Orange County. I work for Healing Hearts Family Counseling in Newport Beach, and I focus primarily on elementary school age children ages 4 to 12. I hope you've all had an opportunity to watch the first hour of our Coping with COVID presentation, a mental well-being series for all ages and stages, which is recorded, and you can find it on the Federation's website at jewishoc.org. For the next 30 minutes or so, I'm going to be answering 3 of the questions we received that pertain specifically to children in the ages 4 to 12 category, and this current pandemic situation, which is affecting all of us. The information that's presented here is some information I've curated from a variety of resources within the mental health community. So I hope what you hear today helps somehow, but I do want to stress, please, 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 this is not a substitute or replacement for psychotherapy or medical advice. If your situation continues, if you find yourself getting worse and you're really looking for some extra help, please reach out to a therapist, a psychiatrist, your medical physicians. Find some professional help that can help get you in the right direction and provide you with the support that you need. We're all here to help, so just reach out to us. On the screen, you can see my contact information is right there with my phone number, my email, and my website. So let's go to question number 1 and get started. Question number 1 says, my kids are driving me crazy. Our house is in chaos. My kids miss their school, their friends, they miss playing with their friends. They just want to play all day, and it's a fight. Don't we all know about fighting them to get them to do their homework? I've tried everything, and I'm just exhausted. I can't do it. I just want this to be over. What can I do? This is from a single mom. Listen, I think we've all been in this position, or we are currently in this position. Can you believe it's been 8 weeks now that we've been in this lockdown? And that's 24-hour, or 2 months of 24/7 being with the same people in the same space, and that much togetherness is just really hard to handle for everybody. So you've had to play many roles as a parent. You've had to keep the family safe. You've had to go find new resources for food if you haven't been able to get to your local market and they're out of what you need. You've got to find new ways of finding household supplies, just like what we went through with trying to find toilet paper, for heaven's sakes. So on top of that, you add in now you're acting as a teacher, and I'm sure you all have a new appreciation for the teachers in our kids' lives. You're probably trying to figure out the financial aspects, you're trying to work, you're keeping the kids occupied, you're breaking up fights and all of that. And then you add on that the worry and the fear about what's going on, and it's just a lot. So how many parents are going crazy? Probably just about everybody. But we therapists are very good at reframing things. So I'm going to reframe this for you a little bit and say, how about we look at this as an opportunity where we can cultivate some new relationships with our family connections, with our kids. Remember how you always felt like you were so busy all the time and you didn't have time to really sit down and do whatever with your children? This is that time. So believe me, there's going to be a day, whether it's a year from now or 10 years from now, where you're going to look back on this time and think, oh, gee, I remember those days. We were just at home and life was a little bit different. So I'm going to help you out. Here are some 9 suggestions I've come up with to help you keep your sanity during this lockdown. First and foremost, daily rituals. Daily rituals are really, really critical. You need to set up a Monday through Friday type of ritual and then a weekend type of daily routine and ritual. Be sure to include free time for play and some downtime. But when you have these routines in place, it can help both the adults and the children in the family get a sense of being normal. And it helps keep you from getting on everybody's nerves. It will be a great benefit for you if you could try and structure it somewhat similar to what it was before you were in lockdown in your homes. You know, if you used to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning to get everybody out the door, maybe now you can get up at 7 o'clock, and that's okay. But get up, get dressed, everybody. Wash up, put your clothes on, get the day started. You'll feel better if you really just take those extra few minutes to do that. Make sure your child, if they're involved in doing chores around the house, which I'm sure almost everybody is at this time, try to make it fun. I mean, just doing, you know, the dishes or scrubbing the floor is not a lot of fun if that's part of their to-do list. Try to find some way to make it fun. And I know this seems like a lot of extra effort for you as parents, but you might really have a good time too. Try to set up some standard meal times for the family to come together where everybody puts down what they're doing and comes together for 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever it is, to sit down and have a meal together. It's a great time to connect, maybe tell a joke, share what you've been doing, but it then sets up consistent routine in the family. And plan on regular bedtimes. And believe me, I know that we all have an urge to let our kids stay up as late as they want, but boy, the next morning, don't you pay the price for that. So if you could set up regular bedtimes for your kids, and even for yourself too, get into a routine so that you'll be reassured. Your kids will feel that there's a difference between weekdays and weekends. They get a lot of security knowing that there is a standard routine, and this is what the routine is, and this is what we're going to do. And again, make sure you absolutely, positively don't forget to have free play and downtime. Your kids, as well as yourselves, need unstructured time. You need to have some creative outlets, and that's what really would help you with the stress and those big emotions everybody's feeling. Number 2 on our list is get moving and laughing. We all need to laugh. We all need physical movement. It helps your kids as well as yourself to self-regulate. And the laughing part actually changes your body chemistry and reduces stress hormones. So maybe watch a funny movie together, or maybe somebody's good at telling jokes in the house, but get some laughter going. Get some physical exercise going. Schedule it. Put that on your schedule of daily things you can do. You can even do fun things like setting up an obstacle course in the hallway or having races from one end of the house to the other. Anything to get your kids moving. Get them outside if you're fortunate enough to have a backyard or a green area near you that you can get into, then go run around and do some time outside getting some exercise as well. And just have fun together. You know, take that extra time to laugh and change things up. And what you can do is you can have each one of your family members rotate being the leader for the day. Maybe one day you'll pick what to do, and the next day your 5-year-old will pick what to do. Get everybody involved in this process. And as I just said, get outside. We're lucky the rain has stopped. It's warmer and actually quite hot today, but you can get outside, get into the sunshine, get around the green grass and the green plants and nature. Nature in general is an antidote to the stress that we're feeling. And fresh air is going to help everybody feel better. It might even help you sleep better at night. You can play tag with each other. You can have kids create a new game. You can ride bikes. It's been so hot, you can introduce them to what we used to play with hoses and sprinklers, and turn them on and let them play in the water. Just get outside and enjoy some of that fresh air that we're so lucky to have right now. And of course, if you go to an area where there are other families and other people around, always be mindful of the need for social distancing, because you want everybody to be safe. Number 4 is create some me time. Everybody needs to get some me time where they're not engaged in doing something. Structured time is one thing, but we need some unstructured time. And so you need to fill up your tank for yourself as well as your kids filling up their tank so they can manage the stress that's coming at us every day. Be sure to create some quiet time so everybody can have that as part of their daily schedule. You can have your kids read a book, they can play quietly for 10 minutes in their room, just whatever works that helps you all replace your tank that needs filling. Create a family fun list. Sit together as a family, come up with fun things to do. What you think might be fun might be very different from what your kids think might be fun. So let them have some input. And also create a jar with their ideas of things that they can do without your constant supervision and without fighting with each other, so that when they're bored, they can go to their fun list of things to do. And use their ideas for having fun, both for themselves and for you guys as a family, and do some of those things. Laugh together, play together, cook together, dance around the house together. Who knows what you'll come up with. One of my favorite things here is limit screen time. And I completely understand that everybody has some already established screen protocols in your house when the kids can and can't be on the computer. But unfortunately, it's just not the same as being creative and having fun and laughing. All of those help with stress, where when you're staring at a screen, it's just a zone out time where you don't have to think about those things that have been on your mind. And unfortunately, they're still there when you get off of that screen time. So if you can set up some zone-free time where they have to stay off the screens, get them involved in other things, but try to limit that a little bit more, or schedule it in and see if that will help with getting them more involved in other areas. I don't doubt that there's going to be maybe some discussion with your kids about this, so get ready to say no. You might want to set up some times where they can have a Zoom play date with a friend, or maybe they want to have lunch or dinner with a friend, or set up a tea time and make it a big deal with the other parent to have tea or whatever. And that's probably when your kids are going to want to bug you about, I want to spend more time with my friends. And that's where you're going to have to be strong and say, not now, that's not on the schedule. We've got something else scheduled right now. And here's a hint for you. You might want to set up those Zoom times with other kids when you need some quiet time, because that'll kind of keep them quiet and involved in something else and give you maybe 15 minutes or so that you can go do what you need to do around the house as well. Expect sibling friction, and boy, I'll bet you've already found that out already. This is a tough time, and even when we were on a normal schedule, I'm sure you had friction if you have more than one child and they're fighting with each other. This is kind of an opportunity for you to get in there ahead of time, set some parameters for them of what they can do. And if you start to see some squabbling, jump in there early, get involved quickly, and teach them about how they can express what they need from the other one without getting, into an attack mode where they're verbally or physically attacking each other. You might want to set up some special sibling time where they can have time every day just with their brothers and sisters and do fun things. It's just a matter of connecting them with each other and getting them talking, and you intervening a little early. I know this sounds like a lot. You're probably thinking you're crazy. But if you can just put in a couple of days of getting on top of this and starting some new ways of handling things, you might find that your kids take them up pretty quickly. Friction with your partner, if you have one. Listen, this has been 8 weeks of 24/7 togetherness. I don't care how good your relationship is. There's going to be moments when it gets a little testy around your house. You're probably feeling cabin fever. You're scared about your job and economics. You're worried about people's health, your parents, your siblings, yourself, your friends, how everybody's doing. And then throw in that you've had to play parent and teacher and nurse and every other job you can imagine, and I'll bet everybody is ready to lose it. And this is the one time I'm hearing in the last 2 weeks where couples who've said before, you know, we really haven't bickered with each other much, they're starting to bicker. Well, it's kind of normal when you've had this much togetherness. So any relationship would be affected by this. Take some time every day to spend one-on-one with your partner. Just spend some time connecting, talking, maybe after the kids have gone to bed. It doesn't have to be an hour or two. It can be 15 minutes of just talking. And this is going to have to be a time where you're just going to have to be a little more forgiving, a little more understanding, and find ways to just connect and talk and see if you can't come up with some common ways of doing things together. You've probably found that there's a lot of differences in your parenting style, and maybe your discipline styles are different, and that's okay. I mean, probably hadn't noticed it as much before, but this is the time where you can just talk together, come up with some common ways of doing things, and just kind of take a pause before you're doing things. That connecting is really important. And the last one on our list is family connection and grace. It's what I've just been talking about. We have to understand that this is a tough time for everybody. We have to be more understanding of things that are going on. We have to be more forgiving. Show that forgiveness, talk more, connect more. I am a big proponent of having family meetings once a week and just talk about the things that are going on. It's not a gripe session. You can talk about good things too. There's nothing wrong with that. But just sit down and talk together as a family. This is where you can share your fears, your concerns. What are we going to do about getting back out into the public as they loosen up? What's going on? Do I really have to wear a face mask? You know, this is a time where you can all share and connect. Remember, this is going to lead you into the future relationships with your kids and with everybody in your family. And you can look back and say, we pulled together to do all these things as a family. That's a lot of information, but let's go on to question number 2 now. My 9-year-old daughter is really nervous and upset about COVID-19. She listens to the news or reads reports online all day long. Now she started washing her hands constantly and insists on cleaning everything around the house all day long, especially the doorknobs and the tabletops. I'm afraid she's getting OCD. What can I do to help her? This sounds like so many kids, and it sounds like she's experiencing some really big and uncomfortable feelings, and we can certainly understand that. We're having these big uncomfortable feelings right now. Her world was turned upside down. She can't go to school, she can't play sports, she can't be with her friends. She's stuck at home with her parents, with her siblings. She hears scary things that's being said on the news or the internet, and she's worried about people getting sick. And believe it or not, she's worried about you, Mom and Dad, about if you're getting sick as well. And what's going to happen if you die? What's going to happen if I die? These are all frightening times. So think about how you're feeling as an adult and how frightened you're feeling, and then consider how your kids are probably feeling too. Unfortunately, we're talking about a 9-year-old here, and she, because of where she is in the stage of her own brain development, all these confusing and overwhelming and big thoughts and feelings, she just can't express them verbally because of the stage her brain development is in. So what kids do is they act them out. And what you're probably seeing as she's acting out these things is what's going on in her internal world that she doesn't know how to express to you. So one of our jobs as parents is to help our kids manage these big and confusing feelings. And we need to remember that kids really look to us to help them and to guide them in what they need to do and how they need to react. So this is really your opportunity. And the biggest thing I can tell you here is to stay calm. Take a look at how the family in general is addressing the COVID-19 pandemic. Listen to your kids and constantly be reassuring. Reassure probably more frequently than you're doing. So let's break this down into some smaller pieces for you. Remember, you're the role model and you're setting the example for your kids. They're going to react and follow how you are reacting. Be aware of how you talk in the family about COVID-19, because what she hears can increase or decrease her own fears. Remind your daughter that the family is healthy, obviously, if they are healthy. Remind her that you're safe, that you're doing everything in your power to keep everyone in the family safe. You can point out things like you're all staying at home together where you're safe and you're not going into crowds. If you do go out of the house, you wear a face mask. You make sure that you keep your physical distance from other people. You're washing your hands when you come back into the house, and you wash your hands throughout the day at regular intervals. And you could go over, normal times that you would normally wash your hands. And you're having things delivered to your home. You've got a protocol set up so that you bring packages. That you need to reassure her in detail of all the processes you've put in place and whatever other measures that you personally are taking around your home to keep the family safe. And then be sure to spend one-on-one time together daily. Sit down on the couch, do it over the kitchen table, just the two of you. Do something where you can just talk with her every single day. It's your special time to connect. Listen to her. If she's feeling really, really upset, have her draw a picture of what those feelings look like. And you can take a look at it and ask her about it and have her explain what's going on. See, when kids can't talk to us in words, they can certainly draw pictures, and that's how they can basically communicate with you what's going on inside of her. Let her talk it through and just listen. So many kids that I work with at this age say, I just wish mom would listen to me. I wish she would hear what I'm saying. That's a clue. Just take a minute, take a deep breath. You've got the time now. It's a good time to just listen. So I'll give you a little hint. One of the best things I've found when kids need to talk and just get it out of their system, the best thing you can do is very simple. You just simply say, and kind of shake your head a little bit and don't say anything else. It's a way for them to see that mom is really listening to me. And when she's talked out, or when there's a break, or she asks you a question, then go ahead and respond, but respond with the truth and with reassurance that everything that you're doing is to keep her healthy, to take care of her, that you've always taken care of her when she's sick. Maybe you need to, go along those lines and remind her of the times when she was sick and what you did for her. Give her examples of the things that you're doing. Maybe you're using cleaner more, or I don't know, whatever it is that you're doing. But whatever it is, it's stopping the germs from getting in your house to keep everybody healthy. And talk about what people in general are doing to stay healthy, what everybody out there is doing to stay healthy. It could be something as simple as when we go out to eat at a restaurant, they always wipe down the table and wash the dishes before the next family comes in. Use some examples so that she sees this has been going on for a while. And you can say things like, adults are working really hard to make sure that everybody is staying safe and you're keeping safe and healthy, and I'm doing that too, and everybody here is working hard. Be positive. Be positive. There's a lot of good news out there. I know our news always seems to focus on the bad and the scary, but this is a time to be positive and keep up with current positive things that are going on in the news. With I believe they are showing declining death rates now, and areas are having less cases. This is all positive news that she probably isn't hearing or she isn't focusing on. It's a great time to discuss how this isn't going to last forever. Things are going to get better. It has only been 8 weeks. just keep reassuring her that things are going to be okay. Limiting exposure to the news and the internet is so critical right now. And your daughter is 9 years old. They're reading the internet a lot, and they're becoming more and more aware of all these different resources out there. This is a really great time to limit that. And when she wants to hear the news, sit with her and listen to it and then turn it off. And then talk about it. Talk about what she's heard. Have her express what her fears are. Talk through those and listen to what she's having to say to you about it. You need to provide reassurance a lot to kids at this stage, and especially to adults even. Gosh, I mean, we would like some reassurance every day. So think about how much that means to them if you can give reassurance to her. One of the things you're doing maybe is setting up a standard schedule of washing things down in the house and keeping them clean and germ-free. Maybe incorporate her into that and set a schedule up so you do it together. You reassure that everything is clean and there's, it's healthy and we're okay, and then move on to the next thing on your schedule. But show her by your actions that you take this seriously. You're doing things together, and then reassure her, okay, that's done and we're okay right now. And then you want to provide her with every opportunity you can to offer love, affection, understanding, celebrate the things that are going well, offer to listen to her anytime she wants to talk and she just needs to come and tell you, and set aside some time. But that love, affection, and understanding along with reassurance will help her feel better about everything. And hopefully as the stress and the anxiety of the whole situation starts to diminish, as she feels better and more confident, you'll find that her behaviors of washing their hands and constantly having to wash, tabletops or whatever, will start to diminish. So what I want to do now is I want to offer a couple of really easy exercises that you can do with your daughter. You could do yourself. You could do it with anybody. If at any time in your world you start to feel an increase in those anxious feelings, and start your heart's pounding and you're starting to breathe really fast. But one of the things that it's always about breathing. Everything's always about breathing. It's taking some really conscious breaths. You want to take them slow, and you want to breathe in slowly and breathe out slowly. And so I use starfish breathing. And what that is I tell kids, we all have a starfish with us all day, every day, 100% of the time. And that's in our hand. It has 5 little fingers like a starfish does. And so I teach them the breathing, where they breathe in for a certain period of time and blow out for a certain period of time. And that would be the cookie breathing. We'll get to that in a minute. But as they breathe, I have them take their finger and go up their thumb where they breathe in and then breathe out. And then they breathe in and they breathe out. And they just follow their hand around the starfish. And when they come down to the end, they do it again. And kids seem to think that's a pretty fun thing to do because they have a starfish on their hand. The breathing itself is, as I tell them to think of cookie breathing. So mom probably bakes cookies, or they've been around grandma or somebody who's baking cookies, and it smells so good when you come in the house when the cookies are in the oven, and you breathe in to smell those cookies. And we try to get them to breathe in for maybe 3 to the count of 3 or 4. But if they're really little, they probably don't know how to count yet. But breathe in, and then think about eating those cookies, but they're hot. When they come right out of the oven, they're so hot you can't even touch them or you're going to burn your fingers. So you have to breathe on them a little bit. So breathe out through the mouth. And you want to breathe out longer than what they breathed in. So maybe they can count to 3 or 4 when they breathe in, and breathe out to 5 or 6 and they breathe out, and breathe out through the mouth. So you can see if they breathe in and then breathe out. And when you are highly escalated, your heart's pounding, you're feeling very anxious, this is hard to do. but you just keep doing it. And you do it 5 or 6 times until suddenly you start to feel your body is starting to relax. You're starting to regulate your emotions. You're starting to calm down. Another way you can do it is sometimes you can do it with a straw, if you have a straw handy, and they can breathe out through the straw. So any kind of, mental image you can help them with, it helps them to breathe in slowly, breathe out slowly, and make sure it's a little bit longer on the breathing out. That's breathing. Positive self-talk is going to go a very long way. And you can either do this to yourself or out loud, whatever works for you. But when you're starting to feel really anxious and you need to calm yourself down, do some self-talk that's positive. One of the things that I have a lot of clients saying right now is, I am healthy and safe. And if you have to repeat that over and over again to yourself 100 times, do it. Tell yourself these things. You can say, I'm going to be okay. You can say, this too shall pass. These are all things that you can get inside of your brain consciously to get yourself thinking about, you're going to be okay. And pretty soon that positive self-talk will fight against the negative self-talk that you've had, and it will start to calm you down. The third thing is distractions. Get distracted. That can mean anything. One of the things I teach kids, especially around ages 9 or 10, is we call it wacky counting. And we have them consciously think of counting not in order and not in pattern. So you're not going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're not going to go 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. You're just going to start doing some wacky counting. 5, 16, 32, 48, 105, 17, 3, 48, 92. And they just keep going. And what happens is the brain starts focusing on those conscious, non-pattern counting, and it stops thinking about all the things that have made you anxious. It works really well in a doctor's office. I can attest to that one. You can change your focus by looking around you. You can do the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Look around and see 5 things, maybe 5 things that are green. Then look around and say, what am I smelling? Are there 4 things I'm smelling here? Are there 3 things I'm hearing? Are there 2 things I'm feeling? Maybe you're feeling the floor underneath you, your bottom on the chair, or whatever it is. One thing that I'm thinking and feeling today. That's a way of distracting yourself. You can watch your watch. You can, if you have a second hand on your watch and it's going around, you can watch that, or you can have your kids watch a clock on the wall. You can focus on a picture. Anything that will distract you from what is going on in your brain and what you're thinking about. Now, the last point I put on here is start these exercises early. And that means don't wait until your anxiety is way up here. When you start to feel these things in your body, when your child starts to get escalated, and it's down here at this level, that's when you want to start doing these exercises. And think of it as a car. Car's driving down the road at 5 miles an hour. It's pretty easy to stop it. It's going 100 miles an hour. It's not so easy to stop it. So this is when you want to start implementing the breathing, the positive self-talk, the distraction. Change your focus. Start these exercises early and keep doing them until you or your child calms down. And parents, this is something you may have to work with your child on a little bit at a time, a little bit as each event is happening, but you work on it slowly and you work on it together. So hopefully this will help you to get these under a little better control, get them to ease up a little. And as I have said before, and I will probably say again, please, 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 if the negative behaviors continue, if they escalate, if things get worse, please don't hesitate to contact a mental health professional that works with children for additional help, so you can get in there and get some relief and some support for you and your child as early as possible. Whew, that was a lot. So let's go to our last question, question 3. I have 3 kids in lockdown in a small home, and we've been together for 8 weeks now. Trying to get them to do their schoolwork or anything while I'm trying to work myself is frustrating. I feel like I spend the whole day yelling at them over and over again. I never used to be this way, but how do I get them to listen to me? You know, this is definitely a tough time for everyone. And as this person says, this is not how they were before. This is not how they reacted in the past, but this is what we're facing right now. And it's really hard to get everything done. Please recognize you've never had so many demands on your shoulders as you probably have now. And it's a tough time. Our kids can be difficult. They can be demanding, they can be defiant, they can be whiny, they can be frustrating, they can make us crazy, and that's even on a good day. So if you find yourself shouting and repeating instructions over and over again to the point that you end up with lots of threats and punishments, and they're spending more time in their room than any other time, you probably are finding that the trauma is just going up and up and up, and it's time to try a little different approach to this. It also is the time to have a little bit more understanding, a little bit more tolerance, which is very hard when you're at the end of your ropes. So let's talk about a better way that you can start doing some things now that will go on, for the rest of their lives and in their relationships with other people. And I will tell you that the secret to this is connection with your kids. Frankly, it's connection with everybody. If you have a good relationship with someone, you can tell them things that maybe you couldn't say to somebody else, or say them in a way that they get and they respond differently. So it's really about having some influence over what's going on with the kids and not coming across as the mean old mommy or mean old daddy. It's just connecting and spending time with them. So the first thing is, you can start seeing the situation from your child's point of view. Oh, wouldn't it be nice if they could just tell you what was going on? Wouldn't it be nice if they could say things like, inside of me, I noticed that mommy and daddy are so tense these days, or that mom and dad, and even me and my brother get really, really nervous and scared when we hear things on the news about people dying and getting sick. I'm so worried. What if I get sick? What if grandma gets sick? What if mom and dad get sick? What if they die? What am I going to do then? And then, of course, they're trying to do schoolwork. And they're probably thinking things like, you know what? This stuff is really hard. I don't get it. And mom just can't explain it like my teacher does. I end up feeling so dumb from all of this. They probably miss their friends. So all of this is going on. And then they're thinking there's no school, there's nobody to play with, my dumb old brother and sister, I'm so sick of them, I'm really scared of all of this, I'm tired of it, when is it going to go away? So they're having a lot of big feelings, and unfortunately they just can't express them out loud. So they're trying to tell you something, and you kind of have to read between the lines to figure out what they're acting out is telling you. Once you get a good idea of your kids, and you know your kids better than anybody, probably better than they know themselves, you're going to figure this out really quickly. You're probably finding that cracking down on behavior is just kind of creating World War III. It's just making more drama. And so maybe it's time to change it up a bit. That's going to befuddle them tremendously if you change the way you're doing things, It's kind of fun to watch that look on their face where they go, mom's never done that before. I wonder what's going on. So how about we try a couple of things in a new plan? We have a screen for this. It says, how about you calm yourself first? Sometimes it's not them, it's us, and we just really need to take a few breaths, calm down, walk away from the situation. Calm yourself, remind yourself that your kid's having a bad time, you're having a bad time, everybody needs a moment or two, they need your help. Maybe you've just really got to figure out, okay, well, whatever happened is done, that's over with. More drama isn't going to help if I, ban him to his room for the next 3 hours. And maybe you're just going to have to take a moment and then you can come back to it. And then at that point, you can consider how much something really matters. Let's face it, we're in the middle of a worldwide pandemic. You're stressed to the max, your kids are losing it, and you just had a fight over, your 5-year-old needed to practice reading their letters and they'd rather draw a picture for their school. Does it really matter whether they drew the picture at that moment? Really consider how much something matters. Your child may have gotten mad at you and said, I hate you. And nobody ever wants to hear that. No parent likes to hear those words. Your kids don't really hate you. They're just reacting in the moment. It doesn't really matter what they said. What matters most is you create a moment of safety for them. So your child will then open up and tell you what's really going on, what they really are feeling, why they needed to say that. And they're going to show you in that moment that they've been unhappy and they need your help calming down and getting back to being centered. It takes a lot of effort on our part, but believe me, you will get more good behavior from the kids than you're going to get the more increased drama that's been going on. That old saying about you get more flies with honey than you do with vinegar. This is one of those times where it's just really hard. And that's why calming yourself first and foremost, you've got to get yourself back to a really good place. Doesn't mean you can't set limits, and you need to set limits, but you also need to figure out what the interventions are that need to go into place. So here's where you can involve the kid in creating the intervention. Sit down as a family, go over the schedule, nicely and with humor, talk about, some of the ups and downs you've had that have been consistent. When I ask you to do your homework, you throw the pencil at me and, you storm off or whatever, What do you think we should do instead? And try to engage them in the process. Now, they're not going to set all the rules, you're going to set the rules. But if you start engaging them in an effective intervention, connect with them, empathize with them that they're having a hard time, and start out every interaction that way, oh gosh, I can see that you're really mad right now. And I feel so bad because I know you want to draw a picture now instead of doing your schoolwork or practicing your ABCs. But how about maybe we need to take a few minutes and just, should we read a book together? Should we have a cuddle? Should we go get a snack first and then we'll get back to it? Try something so you don't have to fight with your kids, and then just be emotionally generous with them, because isn't that what you want them to do? You want them to connect with you emotionally and in ways that you can interact together on that level and then get them to do the behavior that you want. The family meetings, I think, are just awesome. I said it earlier, and I really do think they're a great way to get things done. Be sure to include everyone in it. And remind the adults in the house that if you're going to be reactive and not calm about things when all these behaviors show up, You're not going to get what you want. It's going to backfire on you. It's going to be more drama. It's always when you're calmer that it works better. You want to connect and empathize, and then you want to correct and redirect them. And so, it could be that your kids are playing a game with their friends and you got to get them to turn it off. And so you see things like, I can see you really, really like playing that game online with your friends. It's hard to turn it off. I know it's hard, but this is what's on our schedule right now. Set your limits, stick to your schedule. Remind them we do need to get the things done that are on our schedule. And what you're going to find is you're going to start seeing that they have needs behind their behaviors. See, kids will try and get your attention when you're the most busy, when you're involved in your work or doing something. And for some reason, kids just think that if you're doing something else, you're not going to be available for them. And so maybe you just need to remind them that you're always there. And if you're on the phone talking, or if you're on the computer, maybe they could write a little note and just pass it to you if they need your attention. It might be time for you to just stop and say, are you feeling unhappy? Are you bored? How about we just have a quick little hug? Let's see what we can do about making you feel better, and then we'll get back to what we need to do. Use your daily preventative maintenance to stay connected. And that means filling your kids' cup up with one-to-one time daily, being involved with them, making them feel good, and then everybody goes off and does what they need to do on their schedule. Most importantly, turn off that news. It's hard. Replenish yourself every day. Make sure you feel good. And just remember, your kids are going through every bit of a hard time as you are. So I hope that helps. We're at the end of our session here. Thank you for spending some time listening, and I hope what you heard helps in some way, provides some relief from some of the frustrations that we're all going through right now. It's certainly unprecedented times. Please continue to send in your questions to us. There's going to be additional Ask Me sessions related to our mental well-being series for all ages and stages. And they're going to be scheduled throughout the month of May in honor of the Mental Health Month. I want to thank everybody at the Jewish Federation of Orange County, the staff and everybody there have just been so wonderful and helpful, and they put so much time and energy into these sessions. So thank you so much for everything you've done for us. And again, I want to stress that this is not a replacement for psychotherapy or medical advice. If you're struggling, if your situation continues, if it's escalating, please reach out to a mental health professional, to your medical doctor for additional help and support. We're all here to help you, and we are available to do that. Now, be sure and check the jewishoc.org website, because we put some additional resources up there for you as well. So thank you very much, everyone, and we'll say bye for now.